What's going on, everyone? It is the Durf. He might be gone, but he will never be forgotten. The Hulkster, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, and of course, who I consider to be the GOAT, the original GOAT of the WWF. Hulk Hogan, may he rest in peace. With his recent passing, I thought it fitting to create a tribute build for the Hulkster. And of course, as you all know, and I hope you agree with, he definitely would have been a smashing Titan if he had played Destiny with us. So this build is going to feature a lot of different things all in one convenient package, much like Hollywood Hulk Hogan. He had tons of tricks up his sleeve, and this build does too. We've got Void, we've got Strand, we've got Arc, we've got, of course, Transcendence, we've got Stasis, we've got pretty much everything, including Solar. We've got all the elements in this build. None were left out, and this build, much like him, encompasses what I think it is to be the most balanced player that you can possibly be, which he absolutely was. Whether he was smashing or throwing or grappling or just launching people out of the ring, it didn't matter. Hollywood Hulk Hogan did it all, and so does this build. So all you Titan lovers out there, I think you're really going to like this one. It's got virtually limitless survivability and, of course, endless ways to generate damage and orbs of power. So if you do find anything helpful in this video, please consider liking and subscribing. If you know a guardian out there who is looking for a great Titan build, or who maybe wants to be able to honor one of the greatest to do it, Mr. Hollywood Hulk Hogan, share this video with them or send them my way. My goal is to help as many people as possible. As always, I will have a dim link in the description, and if you guys by chance are looking for a non-toxic gaming community, make sure you check out my Discord. I'll talk more about that in the video. So without further ado, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, the Hulkster, or the GOAT as I call him. Here is your tribute build, sir. I really hope you like it, and I hope he can see us playing this game in his honor as a result. Let's get it going. So to get started on our Hulkmania build, we of course have to agree that Hulk would have definitely been a prismatic Titan. He was cold, he was electric, he was constantly on fire, heating the crowd up, and he came at you in every different way possible. So we've got an exact blend of that. Not really, but we do have a pretty good blend of all elements that I believe the Hulkster, as he was lovingly called, would have been had he been a prismatic Titan here in our Destiny community. So let's get it started. Up first, we're going to go with Glacial Quake. Slam your gauntlet down to create a shockwave that freezes targets and sends out stasis crystals to freeze additional ones. And supercharge your Shiver Strike for bonus damage. Sprint through stasis crystals or frozen targets to shatter them instantly. This is the Hulk to a T, smashing into people, slamming people into the ground, and icing them before they ever get the jump on him. For abilities, we're going to go with the Thruster, the Strafe Lift. We're going to go with Frenzy Blade, get some severing punches in there because, of course, the Hulkster was a great fist thrower. We're also going to go with the Suppressor Grenade. The Suppressor Grenade is the choice here because he used to suppress his enemies by putting them in headlocks, taking their power away, and of course, using his other skill sets to take them down once he did so. For aspects, we're going to start out with Consecration. Now, I go back and forth on whether or not we really need Consecration, but I think Consecration embodies what I think a wrestler would be. Slamming to the ground, causing explosions, big energy, big damage, and of course, you can stun unstoppable champions still with Consecration. Next up, we've got Knockout. Now, Knockout is kind of important here because when you run out of melee energy, Knockout still counts as a powered melee final blow, even if you don't have a melee charge to use, meaning your Frenzied Blade. So if you were curious if Bungie did take that away with all of the aspect and class reworks, Knockout is still the same Knockout as it was pre the Edge of Fate. Of course, that means you can keep punching until your heart's content, which of course we know the Hulkster never stopped bringing the hits. For Fragments, first up on the list is going to be Facet of Purpose. Picking up an Orb of Power grants us Frost Armor, and of course you are fortified by layers of durable stasis matter, reducing incoming damage. Frost Armor damage resistance grows stronger as you gain additional stacks. We're going to be taking advantage of a number of elemental pickups in this class, so I'll just go through them really quick. We're also going to pick up Fire Sprites, and of course stasis shards and the occasional tangle. Next up, we've got Facet of Awakening. Rapidly defeating targets with light or darkness damage or super final blows generates an elemental pickup of the matching damage type. We just went through this, but tangles, stasis shards, Fire Sprites, and oh, by the way, I forgot, we also can get Ionic Traces if we are using our knockout punches, and the occasional Void Breach if our Suppressor Grenade does actually kill an enemy. Next up, we've got Facet of Protection. While surrounded by combatants who are more resistant to incoming damage, while Transcendent, the effect is increased. Plus 10 to melee here, and I'm going to take it because we are going to be ultra aggressive with this build, just like the Hulkster. Last but not least, Facet of Balance. Rapidly defeating targets with light damage grants melee energy. Rapidly defeating targets with darkness damage grants grenade energy. Until we get our armor exactly where we want it to be, Facet of Balance should be on every Prismatic build regardless of class. And of course, the Hulkster, he doesn't need any extra help, but given where my armor is at right now, we're going to take it. Speaking of armor stats, you want to focus on Super, Grenade, and weapons in that order, with a moderate amount invested into class, melee, and health. Now, if you can get melee up a little bit higher, maybe you can sacrifice a little bit of your weapon stat. That's fine too, but remember, we don't need powered melees to get our powered melee charge in order to use powered melees. In other words, once we activate Knockout, we can continue using Knockout and generate Orbs of Power as well as Ionic Traces, regardless if we are actually using a Frenzied Blade melee powered attack. For weapons, we're going to go with Ager's Scepter. Ager's Scepter, of course, has Ager's Call. Final blows of this weapon generate a slowing burst around the defeated target. It also has Rhaega's Refrain, Stasis Final Blows, transfer ammo to this weapon's magazine from reserves, and the Catalyst, Long Press, drains super energy overflow in the magazine and empowering the beam with bonus damage and the ability to slow and freeze targets until the magazine or super energy runs out or the weapon is stowed. Can only be activated when super energy is full. Keep in mind, if you do activate this before you run out of the ammo, you retain some of your super so that you don't have to start from square one. Also important to note, Ager's Scepter is part of a featured exotic. This exotic especially featured this season and gains the same benefits as new gear. New gear can drop with seasonal bonus power and receives bonuses from the current seasonal artifacts. We're going to take advantage of, yes, a 10% Kinetic Slot weapon damage boost on this build. Next up, we've got the Amit. Now, you could put on the new Solar Auto Rifle if you've got a decent roll. However, Amit's still tried and true. Get this thing crafted with Incandescent and Ambitious Assassin and just let the Scorch fly. We're going to take advantage of some of the artifact perks as well, which I'm going to go through here in a second. Last but not least, I am rocking Aurora Dawn, the new Stasis Sword, courtesy of the Edge of Fate. I got one here with Flash Counter and One for All. It is not at the tier that I want it to be necessarily, so I can't go any higher, but believe me, I am looking for tier 3 and above to replace this thing as soon as possible. So redirect this damage that you receive with Flash Counter, and you already know what kind of armor we're going to be using, what kind of armor the Hulkster would have been using, because his skin was basically armor when he was in the ring anyways. Speaking of armor, we're of course going to go with our featured exotic Stronghold. Now, yes, I did not get a good enough roll of Stronghold to warrant using that above using the one that I have here. However, with this currently where it's at, you can still make it work. So if you have gotten a good Stronghold Gauntlets that fits your build better, go ahead and put that on because you'll get the damage resistance because of the archetype. Actually, is that even true? No, I'm just kidding. You will not get the damage resistance because It's not part of the new gear bonus. However, you can still make this work, and given what Stronghold is to Titans and what the Hulkster was, a longevity-ridden wrestler just never, ever, ever quit, Stronghold makes the most sense here. For our armor, we're going to go with whatever general armor mod that you need in the first slot here. With the helmet, we're going to go with Heavy Ammo Finder. We're also going to go with Thermodynamic Siphon, and we're also going to go with Hands-On because, of course, doesn't matter if we have a powered melee final blow from our Frenzy Blade or from our Knockout, you're going to reduce your super, which means you can put your enemies on ice more frequently. In the Gauntlets section, again, you may not have what I have here, but I have +8 to my general armor mod since I've got the Artifice slot. But more importantly, make sure you're putting on 3 heavy-handeds so that you can generate as many orbs of power as you can possibly handle, getting your ability energy back as quickly as possible, which, yes, also means super, because we're at a T10 for super with this build. For the chest armor, go ahead and throw on 2 damage resistance mods and a no-brainer move here, stasis ammo generation. You've got 2 stasis weapons, both in the Kinetic Slot as well as the Heavy Slot. For the legs, go ahead and put on Innervation, Invigoration, and Absolution. Absolution is important here because you want to be able to get at least a little bit of ability energy tick back to your character, no matter what the orb of pickup is. Last but not least, for our class item, we're going to go with the class font. The class is not as high as I want it to be, being at a 49. However, with 1 orb of power pickup, I will bump that up to a 79, which, as you know, should eventually be a 100% energy recharge rate plus once Bungie fixes the most recent blunder that they unknowingly knew that was going to come back and bite them when they released the Edge of Fate. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, make sure you check out the latest TWAB, also known as This Week at Bungie, where they address Armor 3.0. Last but not least, we're going to go with Distribution and Bomber. The reason I like Bomber is because I'm throwing this grenade all over the place anyways, just to suppress my enemies and be able to take them out quicker with my weapons. So the fact that I can get a little bit of extra grenade energy back is definitely worth my while, because the rest of the time I'm just going to be guarding with my sword, absorbing the blows and taking the heat off my allies. For the artifact, it doesn't really matter what you put in here, but I highly recommend you use Overload Rapid Fire for your auto rifles. Yes, it's true, we have the suppressor grenade, so you can make an argument that maybe it's time to put in the shackle grenade as opposed to the suppressor grenade, but either way, you can't go wrong. You could also theoretically go with a solar scout or pulse rifle or a solar sidearm if you wanted to switch it up. And maybe you could possibly pick one of those weapons that gets a bonus. I'm not going to tell you which ones they are, but you know, if you've been playing, there's some good options out there that really should be making rounds in a lot of different builds coming up. In the second column, we're going to go with Flame, Fiber, and Freeze. A no-brainer here combines the Solar Strand and Solar Stasis Siphon mods into one. We're, of course, going to go with 1 with Frost. While Frost Armor's active stasis weapons gain increased reload speed and stability, Stasis Swords gain increased guard resistance. We're going to be using Stronghold anyways for guarding, but this will give us a little bit of extra juice behind it. In the third column, we're going with Fever and Chill. Rapid precision hits with solar weapons grant Radiant. Rapid precision hits with stasis weapons grants Frost Armor. Now, we are going to be getting Frost Armor from Orb Pickup anyways, and I did test this in the shooting range. Make sure you check that out if you haven't. When you kill multiple combatants with your stasis sword guarding, you do spawn an orb of power with Flame, Fiber, and Freeze. So take advantage of that, all you Stronghold lovers out there. Next up, we got Elemental Benevolence. Granting allies an elemental buff gives class ability energy. No shortcomings here. We are as rounded out as we can possibly be. And then Refresh Threads, picking up an elemental pickup, matching your subclass element or tangle while you have a strand super grants energy to your least charge abilities. So of course, that means every time I pick up a stasis shard, I'm getting increased ability energy for all of my abilities. In the fourth column, we've got Elemental Coalescence. Defeating targets has the chance to create elemental pickup matching your equipped super. No doubt about it, I want it. Cauterized Darkness. Stasis or Strand debuff non-boss combatants take increased solar damage from all sources. Because I'm going to be switching between Aegir Scepter and my Amit, or my Ahab Char, because that's the only substitute I would go with if I want some bonus weapon damage, I'm going to be able to deal a lot of extra solar damage with literally not much effort at all. In the fifth column, Radiant Shrapnel is obviously numero uno on my list. Dealing sustained weapon damage while radiant or defeating a scorched combatant with a weapon causes the target to release solar projectiles that deal damage and scorch on impact. I want as much chaos as possible because, of course, the Hulkster was lighting up all corners of the ring and sometimes all corners of the arena with very little effort, but he always brought the fire. And Shield Crush, no doubt about it, the Hulkster would want his melee to recharge faster once he procs Frost Armor, and he would also want his grenade recharging faster once he procs Radiant and Amplified, both of which you will be able to use in this build. You could theoretically make an argument for Frigid Glare. However, because we're using a Trace Rifle, I don't like the Frost Armor's active Stasis Precision Final Blows cause combatants to release a Freezing Burst, because I'm not necessarily using Aegir Scepter that often for ad clear. It's more for what it can do once I get to higher end content. So that is the build. One of the reasons I think you should try out this Hulkmania Titan build is, first of all, rest in peace, Mr. Hulk. We really appreciate all the memories and, of course, the funny commercials you used to do with Macho Man Randy Savage. And then secondly, if you have been wondering if Stronghold is viable in the Edge of Fate, absolutely, of course it is. And don't forget to be looking for these icons, these green icons. Well, they're like a sea green icon. During your travels, make sure you're testing out all the weapons that get the seasonal buff, because some of these weapons are going to be featured in a lot of meta builds coming up. I sincerely believe. But this build is not exactly brand new. It does kind of stink that we can only use 4 fragments. Consecration, of course, got another nerf, unless I'm quoting that wrong, but I believe it did. And, Stronghold is not featured exotic, which I don't understand why, because this was the first weapon I picked up from the Edge of Fate. But it's got all the elements that he used to put out in the ring. I think it's one of those things where if you were a fan of wrestling growing up, or you just thought that it was something fun to watch with your family and or with your friends, or maybe you pretended to be Mr. Hulkmania himself, it's a good way to honor him. And to be honest, it's one of the most fun builds currently right now that I'm rocking on my Titan. So if you did find anything helpful in this video, please consider liking and subscribing. If you know a Guardian out there who could benefit from a build like this, or who just likes the Hulkster in general, make sure you share this video with them or send them my way. My goal, of course, is to help as many people as possible. As always, I will have a dim link in the video description. And if you are by chance looking for a non-toxic gaming community, make sure you guys head on over to my Discord. We got a lot of great people in there. Tons of activity for the Edge of Fate. Everybody is just grinding up those power levels right now and starting to farm the armor that they most desire. And I'm sure either you or them could benefit from battling the forces of evil together in a fire team sometime. So I'm going to switch over to the outro video here, just run through a couple more things. And yeah, here we go. So Hollywood Hulk Hogan, here is your Hulkmania build. Stronghold Titan, of course, nothing brand new here. Lots of Titan lovers out there love Stronghold, but Stronghold has something built into it that I think perfectly encompasses who the Hulkster was, and that was just, he transcended time. He started at the beginning with pro wrestling, really got it onto the main stage, and when Stronghold came in, I mean, that was a lot of Guardians go-tos for GMs who had never done GMs before, and that is what Hollywood did for wrestling. He put wrestling on the board. He put it on our televisions. He gave us some great memories. and that is what it's all about. So hopefully you like this build. Of course, this build has been emulated and used for a long time. I wanted to try to get one of every element in this build so as to make it as variant as possible while still blending it together, and of course being useful in all content. So hopefully you guys like this build. Hopefully, you Titan lovers out there are having some fun. I've got some more Titan videos coming out, and yeah, they are a blast, and Titan has been really fun so far. So I appreciate all of your support. Thanks for checking out this video. Hope it helps someone out there. I will see you guys later. Take care.